that's a concept that I believe is not talked about really a lot. A key marketing concept that people don't seem to understand would be the impact of the value equation. So the value equation is actually from a book called Spin Selling, which is a
Okay.
very popular sales book. Right? So when you go online and you're on YouTube or you're perusing through social posts, usually it's one of those three things that captures you, right? You're learning something, right? You're laughing, you're entertained, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're enlightened. You feel like, oh, I had a moment, right?
Yeah.
An aha moment. I think another thing that a key marketing concept that people don't seem to understand would be the impact of the value equation. So the value equation is actually from a book called Spin Selling, which is a very popular sales book. And it's really around this idea that people only buy to gain pleasure or to alleviate pain.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's usually to alleviate pain, right? So if you understand what the pain, and I don't mean like physical pain, I mean like, my business is hurting
like pain
because of
points
X,
or
my marketing is hurting because of Y, right? So if people understand that idea, it's like think of a seesaw, right? And on one side you have all of the pain. On the other side, you have the price of the solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the price of the solution is bigger in the perception of the customer than the pain that they have, they're never going to buy from you.
Right.
That's why it's important to really uncover pain points
Mm-hmm.
and more, and that not only uncover the pain points, but ask questions that help the client or prospective client to share what the impact of that pain is on their business, right?
Right.
So if you don't have a good marketing campaign, how is that going to impact your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe a loss of revenue, loss of this, loss of that, right? So what would a loss of revenue mean to your business? Sometimes these questions actually seem very obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but you get them to say it
if
for
you don't make
themselves.
sales, you're not going to make money, right? So,
Yeah.
right? Like that's pretty obvious. But sometimes even being asked that question, it puts it top of mind again. And what that does is it actually makes that seesaw get heavier on the pain point side. So you can actually, it justifies the cost of the solution, right? So I think that's one thing that's a concept that I believe is not talked about really a lot, and can add a lot of value to people who research into it, and it helps with their pricing strategy significantly. Because at the end of the day, everyone wants a deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a deal only happens if you believe that you're getting more value than you're paying for it, right?
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay. You're talking about all these different tactics and strategies and concepts and I guess that's part of the marketing world and industry is that it's so fluid, right? Like one week TikTok is the latest craze, and then the next week Threads is the kind of the go-to thing for brands to do, right? So there seems to be always kind of like a new shiny object and all kinds of distractions. And so how do you, as a marketing professional, decipher from all these shiny objects and which one is worth pursuing and which tactic is worth kind of applying?
It's a good question. So I believe that people focus far too much on platforms when we meet them.
Okay.
I always joke that I don't care if I need to hold a sign at the corner of the street in a bikini with their logo on it, right? Because that could be just as effective if the right person is looking at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I tend to focus on first the KPI of the business, the key performance indicator.
Yeah.
What does success look like for them? Is it
Okay.
selling more costumes? Is it getting more signups for your educational institution? Like, what actually does success look like for the business? And then work backwards from there. And the way to work backwards from there is to focus on who the customer of your product or service is, what drives them, what excites them. Again, education, entertainment, enlightenment, right?
Okay.
Make them the hero of the story, right? And then guide them to the top of the mountain. This is a reference from a book called Story Brand by Donald Miller, which is a great one, right?
Okay. Loads of book in our show notes. Okay, this is good.
Perfect. And help get them from having a problem to having a solution, right? Paint the journey for them, right? So the right audience and the right message is more important than the right platform, right? So although the media likes to talk about Threads and TikTok and these are exciting things, right? Like they're exciting, but at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're focused on where your prospective clients are versus where like the mass audience is, right?
Right.
And also, I think another part of that is like targeting capabilities. Like the reason that Facebook and Instagram ads still work, and the reason that Google ads still work, and that LinkedIn ads are getting better is because their algorithms are getting better, and their targeting capabilities are getting better, and they're getting smarter. They're more mature algorithms, right? So, and I think people also understand how advertising is displayed there, right? So you can't take an ad from Facebook and just plug it into TikTok, right?
Right.
Because the mindset when someone's on TikTok is very different than someone on LinkedIn or Google or Facebook, right? So I would say the best, and I guess the final thing I'll say on this part is that the best platforms today may not be the best ones tomorrow. They may not even exist tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? So I think also having that humility to know that we're going to find results, the platforms will evolve, the tactics will change, and it's up to us to stay educated and be always testing on new ways to find and get results for our clients. And we've even sunset certain platforms, right?
Yeah.
Because we're like, you know what, it doesn't work anymore. And a year ago, it was every one of our clients had it a year ago, and now none of them do because we proactively stopped that, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you're essentially saying that as long as you know your messaging and your key demographic and target client, it doesn't matter what platform you use. It doesn't matter what the tactic is right now. Like it's kind of like just focus on that, and then that can, like, the actual tactics can change over time, but you'll feel some level of security knowing what your messaging is, what you want to do, what you want to sell, how you're going to sell it. Like there's that's a much more, I guess, important part of a marketing campaign than the actual, in the news kind of threads or TikTok or whatever, Yeah. Interesting.
I think also like the goal should be to build the data within your own ecosystem that's owned and operated by you.
Not reliant on some Facebook page or,
If Facebook blows up tomorrow and all your data is on Facebook, that doesn't really help you too much, right? So what you want to do is focus on, driving people to your website, building your email list, building your audience, so that as you grow and move over, you can take that with them, right? You can take that list with you, right? And I think that's also a big kind of mistake that I see people make, which is they rely on the tactics or the shiny object versus making their own brand the shiny object, right?